Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you today that success is not something that simply lands on your doorstep like a package you didn't order. Success is intentional. Success is deliberate. Success is the result of choices, actions, and above all, habits. Now, let me break it down for you. 5 habits of successful people. Not 5 wishes, not 5 dreams, not 5 maybe one days. No, I'm talking about the habits that will unlock your destiny. Successful people show up. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to hear me loud and clear. Successful people show up. That's it. That's the key that unlocks the door to every opportunity, every blessing, every breakthrough in your life. But let me tell you something. Showing up is not just a physical act. Oh no, it's much more than that. Showing up is about showing up in spirit, showing up in heart, and showing up in faith. You see, successful people don't wait for the stars to align or for all the lights to turn green. They don't wait for the perfect time because the perfect time will never come. Let me tell you what successful people do. They walk into imperfection and make it work. They show up when it's hard. They show up when it's uncomfortable. They show up when the odds are stacked against them. Somebody needs to know today that life isn't going to hand you success on a silver platter. It's not going to knock on your door and say, "Here I am." No, success hides behind consistency. It hides behind faithfulness. It hides behind the courage to take the first step. Successful people don't just sit around talking about what they're going to do. They show up and do it. Listen, the word says faith without works is dead. That means you can dream all day long. You can pray all day long. You can talk all day long. But if you don't show up and put in the work, you're just making noise. Dreams don't work unless you do. Successful people understand that the miracle is in the motion. You've got to move. You've got to step out. You've got to show up. Some of you have been sitting on the sidelines of your own life waiting for somebody to come rescue you. Waiting for somebody to notice your talent, your potential, your worth. Let me tell you something. Nobody can show up for you but you. God gave you gifts. He gave you talents. He gave you vision. But it's up to you to show up and use them. Can I talk about showing up when it's hard? Because I know some of you are facing challenges right now. Life has knocked the wind out of you. You've been betrayed. You've been overlooked. You've been counted out. But let me tell you, successful people don't let their circumstances dictate their commitment. They don't let their pain paralyze their purpose. They don't let their feelings determine their faithfulness. They show up even when they're broken. They show up even when they're tired. They show up even when they don't feel like it. When the going gets tough, successful people don't retreat, they advance. They say, "I may not feel strong, but I'm showing up anyway. I may not see the finish line, but I'm taking the next step. I may not know how it's all going to work out, but I trust the one who holds my future, and I'm showing up." Well, let me tell you something else about showing up. It's not always about you. Sometimes showing up is about the people who are watching you. Your children are watching. Your coworkers are watching. Your community is watching. And when you show up, you give them permission to believe they can show up too. When you rise, you inspire others to rise. When you fight for your dream, you awaken the fighter in someone else. Your life is a testimony, but only if you show up. Understand that you are sacrificing one thing for another. You sacrificed a great relationship for freedom. And can we talk about showing up prepared? Oh, somebody needs to hear this today. Don't just show up halfway. Don't just show up and go through the motions. Successful people don't just show up, they show up ready. They show up focused. They show up with excellence. They don't cut corners. They don't do the bare minimum. They don't waste time waiting for someone else to carry their load. They come prepared to give their best, to bring their A game, to leave it all on the table. So what are you waiting for? What's holding you back? Fear, doubt, procrastination? Let me tell you, none of that has the power to stop you unless you give it permission. Don't let fear talk you out of your destiny. Don't let doubt rob you of your potential. Don't let procrastination steal your opportunity. When you show up, you send a message to every obstacle in your life. You can't stop me. You can't break me. You can't defeat me. I am here, I am ready, and I will not quit. Now, I want to leave you with this. If you want success, you've got to show up consistently. It's not about showing up one time and expecting everything to change. No, successful people keep showing up day after day, week after week, year after year. They don't give up when it gets hard. They don't back down when it takes longer than they thought. They stay faithful because they know that what they plant in faith, they will reap in abundance. So I need you to make up your mind today. Are you going to keep waiting for success to find you, or are you going to show up and go after it? Because success doesn't just happen. Success is created by people who refuse to quit, refuse to settle, and refuse to sit still. Now, stand up in your spirit, rise up in your mind, and tell yourself, I am ready. I am willing. I am showing up. Because success is waiting for you, but you've got to step into it. Let's go. Successful people are disciplined. Let me tell you something. Discipline is not just a habit. It is a lifestyle. Discipline is the bedrock on which success is built. Without it, talent means nothing. Without it, dreams remain just that, dreams. Discipline is the engine that keeps you moving when your feelings tell you to stop. It's the power that makes you keep going when everyone else has given up. You see, successful people understand that discipline is the difference maker. They know that life is not about what you feel like doing. It's about doing what needs to be done. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Life is not about your feelings. Feelings are fleeting, but discipline is firm. Feelings will fail you, but discipline will sustain you. When the alarm clock goes off in the morning, successful people don't hit snooze. Oh no, they get up. They don't wait to feel motivated because motivation is temporary. Discipline is their default. Successful people know that if they only worked when they felt like it, they never accomplished anything. And hear me when I say this, discipline isn't glamorous. It's not flashy. It's not something that gets applause or recognition. But discipline doesn't care about applause. Discipline doesn't care about recognition. Discipline says, I'll work in the dark so I can shine in the light. I'll do what others won't so I can live how others can't. I'll pay the price today so I can walk in the promise tomorrow. Somebody needs to know today that discipline is not a punishment. It's a gift. Oh yes, discipline is your safeguard. It protects your purpose. It preserves your vision. Discipline says, I love my future too much to let my present desires sabotage it. Successful people don't let distractions derail them. They don't let convenience compromise their commitment. They don't let temptation pull them off track. When the world says, take it easy, they say, I've got work to do. When others are wasting time, they're investing it. When others are chasing comfort, they're chasing greatness. Now, let me get personal with you. Discipline isn't just about big dramatic actions. No, discipline is in the details. It's in the small daily decisions. It's in what you say yes to and what you say no to. Successful people understand that every choice matters. Ooh, somebody needs to hear this. Every yes you give is a no to something else. Every time you choose to indulge your laziness, you're denying your potential. Every time you choose to stay stagnant, you're forfeiting your growth. Discipline is about saying no to what doesn't serve your purpose so you can say yes to what does. Successful people know how to say no to distractions, no to bad habits, no to shortcuts, no to excuses, because they know what they're working toward and they refuse to let anything get in the way. And can we talk about the discipline of consistency? Oh, let me preach for a minute here. Success is not a one-time event. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Successful people don't just show up once and expect results. They show up every single day. They put in the work when it's boring. They stay committed when it's hard. They remain faithful when nobody's watching, because they know that consistency compounds. They know that small, disciplined actions done over time create massive results. Over time, but let me tell you this. Discipline isn't just about hard work. It's about alignment. Oh yes, discipline's about aligning your actions with your purpose. It's about living intentionally, not aimlessly. Successful people don't waste their time on things that don't matter. They don't let distractions steal their focus. They don't let other people's priorities dictate their path. They are laser fragment on their vision, and they align their lives accordingly. And here's the thing. Discipline requires sacrifice. Oh, I know you don't want to hear that. Nobody likes the word sacrifice. But let me tell you, success and sacrifice go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. Successful people are willing to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term gain. They're willing to sacrifice their preferences for their purpose. They're willing to sacrifice what feels good for what is good. Now, I want to ask you something. Are you disciplined enough to say no to your distractions? Are you disciplined enough to stay focused on your goals? Are you disciplined enough to work when others are resting, to push when others are quitting, to persevere when others are complaining? Because that's what it takes. Discipline is the evidence of your commitment. It's the proof that you're serious about your purpose. It's the declaration that you're willing to do what it takes to achieve your goals. So don't just talk about it, be about it. Don't just dream it, do it. Let your discipline speak louder than your words. Let your actions testify to your determination. Oh, let me tell you this. Let me say this. You've got to be disciplined, not just when it's convenient, but when it's inconvenient. Not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. Not just when you feel like it, but when you don't feel like it. Because discipline isn't about how you feel, it's about what you're committed to. Now let me ask you, what are you committed to? What is your discipline building? Are you building something that will last, or are you wasting time on things that will fade? Because successful people don't waste their discipline on temporary things. They use it to build something eternal, something impactful, something that will outlive them. And so I say to you, discipline is the foundation. Discipline is the fuel. Discipline is the key. Whatever it is you're striving for, whatever dream God has placed in your heart, you've got to have the discipline to go after it. You've got to have the discipline to stay the course. You've got to have the discipline to finish the race, because successful people are disciplined. And discipline is what will take you from where you are to where you're destined to be. Successful people learn relentlessly. Oh, let me tell you something right now. Successful people are students of life. They are hungry for growth, thirsty for knowledge, and relentless in their pursuit of wisdom. They don't sit back and wait for information to come to them. Oh no. They go after it like it's treasure, like it's the missing piece to their purpose. Because they know that the key to their next level is hidden in what they don't yet know. Listen to me. Successful people understand that learning is not an event. It's a lifestyle. It's not something you do once in a while. It's something you commit to every single day. They know that the moment you stop learning, you stop growing, and the moment you stop growing, you start dying. Let me make this plain. Successful people are not satisfied with surface level knowledge. They don't just skim the surface, they dive deep. They don't settle for the headlines. They go after the details. They don't just seek to understand what's happening. They seek to understand why it's happening, how it's happening, and what they can do to make it happen better. And here's the thing, learning relentlessly requires humility. Oh yes, successful people are humble enough to admit, I don't know it all. They are not too proud to ask questions. They are not too arrogant to seek advice. They understand that pride will block your progress, but humility will open doors to new opportunities, new insights, and new revelations. Let me preach this for a moment. Successful people don't just learn from books and lectures. They learn from life. Oh, life is a teacher, my friends. Every trial, every triumph, every setback, and every success is a lesson waiting to be learned. Successful people don't just go through life, they grow through life. They don't waste their pain, they learn from it. They don't ignore their mistakes, they study them. They don't avoid challenges, they embrace them as opportunities to stretch and strengthen themselves. Can I tell you something else about successful people? They are curious. Oh, somebody needs to hear this. Curiosity is the currency of growth. Curiosity is what keeps your mind sharp, your ideas fresh, and your perspective wide. Successful people never stop asking questions. They ask why, they ask how, they ask what if. They are constantly exploring, constantly experimenting, constantly expanding their understanding. Let me say this. Successful people don't just learn for the sake of learning. They learn to apply. Oh, this is where the rubber meets the road. Knowledge without action is wasted potential. Successful people take what they learn and they use it. They apply it to their work, their relationships, their goals, and their dreams. They turn information into transformation. Now let me speak to someone who thinks they've already learned enough. Oh, you've got the degrees, you've got the experience, you've got the accolades, but let me tell you, there is always more to learn. The moment you think you've arrived, you've already started falling behind. The world is moving forward. Technology is advancing. Industries are evolving. And the people who stop learning get left behind. Now, successful people know that they are always students. Students of their craft, students of their calling, students of life itself. And hear me when I say this. Successful people don't just learn from their own experiences. They learn from the experiences of others. Oh yes, they study mentors. They read biographies. They listen to leaders. They understand that wisdom doesn't always have to come through trial and error. Sometimes wisdom comes through observation. Sometimes it comes through listening. Sometimes it comes through listening and listening. Sometimes it comes through listening based on the assurance that whatever is being experienced like this will be carried into it. Oh, and let me talk about the discipline of unlearning. Somebody needs to catch this. Successful people don't just learn, they are willing to unlearn. Oh yes. They are willing to let go of old habits, outdated beliefs, and limited perspectives that no longer serve them. They understand that growth sometimes requires subtraction before addition. They know that you can't pour new wine into old wineskins. And let me tell you this, successful people invest in their learning. Oh, they don't see education as an expense. They see it as an investment. They buy the books. They take the courses. They attend the seminars. They hire the mentors. They are willing to put their money where their mind is because they know that every dollar they spend on learning will return to them 100-fold in growth, success, and impact. But listen to me, learning relentlessly isn't just about consuming knowledge. It's about becoming something new. Successful people don't just fill their heads with facts, they fill their hearts with wisdom. They don't just memorize information, they internalize transformation. Every lesson they learn shapes who they are, sharpens their skills, and strengthens their character. And let me talk about the long game of learning. Successful people know that learning is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not about how much you can cram into your mind in one day, it's about building a lifetime of growth, step by step, day by day. They are patient with the process, faithful in the journey, and relentless in their pursuit of progress. So I want to ask you today, are you learning relentlessly? Are you stretching your mind, expanding your horizons, and stepping into the fullness of your potential? Or are you stuck in the same old patterns, the same old mindset, the same old ways of thinking? Because let me tell you, successful people don't settle for stagnation. They are constantly evolving, constantly improving, constantly becoming the best version of themselves. And if you want to join them, you've got to make a decision today to be a lifelong learner, a relentless student, and an unstoppable force for growth. And an unstoppable force for growth. Keep seeking, keep asking, keep learning, because your next breakthrough is waiting on the other side of what you don't yet know. Successful people embrace failure. Well, let me tell you something right now. Failure is not the end. No. Failure is not your enemy. Failure is your teacher. Failure is your stepping stone. Failure is the soil in which the seeds of success are planted. And if you're too afraid of failure to step out, you will never step up into the fullness of your potential. Listen, Miss, successful people don't run from failure, they run toward it. Let me preach this for a moment. Failure is not final. Oh no, failure is feedback. It's the universe, it's life, it's God himself saying, there's something more I need you to learn. There's something deeper I need you to dig. There's something greater I need you to see. Successful people don't let failure discourage them. They let it develop them. They don't let failure stop them. They let it shape them. Can I tell you something? Failure doesn't mean you're weak. Failure doesn't mean you're unworthy. Failure doesn't mean you're incapable. Failure means you tried. Failure means you dared to step out of your comfort zone. Failure means you had the courage to believe in something greater, something bigger, something more than what you could see in front of you. Paul. But let me tell you what separates successful people from everyone else. It's not that they don't fail, it's that they get back up when they do. The Bible says a righteous man falls 7 times and rises again. Do you hear me? 7 times. That means you might fall, but you are not finished. Successful people don't stay down, they rise again. They dust themselves off, they learn the lesson, and they keep moving forward. Now let me talk to somebody who's stuck in the shame of failure. Oh, I feel this in my spirit. You're sitting there thinking that your failure disqualifies you. That because you messed up, because you fell short, because you made a mistake, you're not worthy of success. But let me tell you something. Your failure doesn't disqualify you, it prepares you. Your failure is the training ground for your victory. Your failure is the fire that refines you. Your failure is the path that leads you to purpose. Successful people understand that failure is part of the process. Oh yes, it's part of the plan. Every great success story you've ever heard has chapters of failure. Every entrepreneur, every leader, every innovator has faced rejection, setbacks, and obstacles. But they didn't let failure have the final say. Oh no. They turned their failures into fuel. They turned their setbacks into setups for a comeback. And let me say this, successful people don't take failure personally. Oh, somebody needs to hear this. Failure is not a reflection of your worth. Failure doesn't define who you are. It refines who you are. Successful people don't see failure as a dead end. They see it as a detour. They don't see it as a roadblock. They see it as a stepping stone. They don't see it as the end of the journey. They see it as a critical part of the journey. And here's what I love about failure. It teaches you things that success never could. Oh yes, failure teaches you humility. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you perseverance. Failure strips away your pride, your ego, and your excuses. It forces you to confront yourself, to dig deep, and to grow stronger. Oh, and let me tell you this. Successful people don't just learn from their own failures. They learn from the failures of others. Oh yes, they study history, they study leaders, they study mistakes. They don't judge people for their failures. They glean wisdom from them. They say, what can I learn from this? How can I avoid this pitfall? How can I use this lesson to move forward? But let me be clear, embracing failure doesn't mean settling for it. Oh no, successful people don't camp out in their failure. They don't wallow in it. They don't let it define their destiny. They embrace it as part of the journey. But they keep pressing toward the mark. They keep striving. They keep pushing. They keep believing. And can I talk about the power of resilience? Oh, resilience is the secret sauce of successful people. It's what keeps them going when the world says, give up. It's what makes them keep trying when everyone else has quit. It's what turns their failures into stepping stones for success. Resilience says, I may be knocked down, but I'm not knocked out. I may have fallen, but I'm not finished. I may have failed, but I'm not defeated. Let me speak this into your spirit. Failure is not your destination. It's your preparation. Oh yes, failure is preparing you for the success that's coming. It's preparing your character, your skills, your mindset, and your heart. Because the truth is, if you can't handle failure, you can't handle success. If you can't learn from the small defeats, you won't be ready for the big victories. And let me tell you this, God can use your failure. Oh yes. He can take your mistakes, your missteps, your messes, and turn them into a masterpiece. He can take what was meant to break you and use it to build you. He can take what was meant to destroy you and use it to develop you. Because he is a God who works all things together for your good, including your failures. So I need you to shift your perspective today. Stop running from failure. Stop fearing it. Stop avoiding it. And start embracing it as part of the process, as part of the journey, as part of the story God is writing for your life. Because successful people are not the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who learn from it, grow through it, and rise above it. Now, are you ready to rise? Are you ready to learn? Are you ready to embrace the lessons that failure has to offer? Because failure is not your enemy, it's your opportunity, it's your teacher, it's your stepping stone. And it's time for you to step up, step out, and step into the greatness that's waiting on the other side of your fear of failure. Let's go. Successful people walk with purpose. Let me tell you something. Successful people don't just wander through life. Oh no, they don't drift. They don't meander. They don't move aimlessly from one thing to the next. Successful people walk with purpose. Every step they take is intentional. Every decision they make is deliberate. Every move they make is aligned with something greater than themselves. Oh, let me preach this for a moment. Purpose is the compass that guides your life. Without it, you're like a ship without a rudder, tossed by the waves, driven by the winds, going wherever life decides to push you. But successful people don't let life push them around. Oh no, they have direction. They have focus. They have clarity. They know who they are. They know why they're here, and they know where they're going. And hear me when I say this. Walking with purpose doesn't mean you have all the answers. It doesn't mean you've got it all figured out. It doesn't mean the path is always clear. But what it does mean is that you are moving with intention. You are moving with faith. You are moving with a conviction that there is something greater ahead of you than anything that lies behind you. Let me tell you what separates people who succeed from those who don't. Successful people live on purpose. They don't just react to life, they respond to their calling. They don't let circumstances dictate their actions. They let purpose dictate their path. Oh, somebody needs to hear this. When you walk with purpose, you don't waste time chasing after things that don't align with your destiny. You don't get distracted by every shiny thing, every temporary thrill, or every fleeting opportunity. You're focused, you're steady, you're rooted in your calling. Oh, and let me say this. Purpose is not just about what you do, it's about why you do it. Purpose gives meaning to your work, it gives depth to your relationships, it gives significance to your struggles. Purpose turns a job into a mission, a task into an assignment, and a setback into a stepping stone. Successful people understand that their actions are connected to a bigger picture, a higher plan, a divine design. Now, can I get personal with you? Walking with purpose requires boldness. Oh yes, it takes courage to walk in purpose. Because purpose will often take you places you've never been before. It will call you out of your comfort zone, out of the familiar, out of the safe. Purpose will challenge you to do things that seem impossible, to face things that seem unsurmountable, to believe in things that seem unattainable, to believe in things that seem unattainable. And let me tell you something else. When you walk with purpose, you will face opposition. Oh yes, purpose attracts resistance. When you start walking with clarity and focus, the enemy will try to distract you, discourage you, and detour you. But let me tell you, successful people don't let the opposition stop them. Oh, no, they press on. They keep moving. They refuse to be shaken. They refuse to be stopped. They refuse to be silenced. But let me say this. And can I tell you this? Successful people understand that purpose isn't just about them. Oh no, purpose is bigger than you. Purpose is about making an impact. It's about leaving a legacy. It's about serving others and contributing to something greater than yourself. Successful people know that their purpose is not just for their benefit, it's for the benefit of the world around them. But hear me when I say this. Walking with purpose requires alignment. Oh yes. Successful people know that you can't walk with purpose if your actions don't align with your vision. You can't say you're walking toward greatness while chasing after mediocrity. You can't say you're walking in faith while living in fear. You can't say you're pursuing your destiny while clinging to your distractions. Successful people are disciplined enough to align their steps with their calling, their actions with their vision, and their lives with their purpose. Now let me speak to someone who feels lost, someone who feels like they've been wandering through life with no direction. Oh, you've been busy, but you haven't been productive. You've been moving, but you haven't been progressing. Let me tell you, it's time to stop wandering and start walking with purpose. It's time to stop chasing after things that don't matter and start pursuing the things that do. It's time to align your steps with a path God has laid out for you. And let me say this, walking with purpose doesn't mean the journey will be easy. Oh no, The road will be rough, the path will be steep, and the obstacles will be many. But successful people don't let the difficulty of the journey deter them from their destiny. They understand that purpose is worth the price, that the reward is greater than the sacrifice, that the destination is worth every step of the journey. Oh, and let me talk about the power of persistence. Walking with purpose means you keep going even when you don't see the results right away. It means you stay faithful even when the progress is slow. It means you keep moving forward even when the path is unclear. Because purpose is not about instant gratification. It's about lasting impact. So I need to ask you today, are you walking with purpose? Are you living intentionally, or are you just going through the motions? Are you pursuing your calling, or are you settling for convenience? Are you stepping into the fullness of your potential, or are you holding yourself back out of fear, doubt, or complacency? Because let me tell you, successful people don't settle. They don't drift. They don't waste their lives chasing things that don't matter. They walk with purpose. They live with purpose. They move with purpose. And that's what sets them apart. So, take a step today. Take a step in faith, a step in courage, a step in obedience. Start walking with purpose. And watch how your life begins to change. Watch how doors begin to open, how opportunities begin to appear, how your vision begins to align with your reality. Because when you walk with purpose, nothing can stop you. When you walk with purpose, you walk with power. And when you walk with purpose, you walk in destiny. Now, as we bring this together, I need you to hear me and hear me clearly. Success is not a destination. It's a journey. And that journey requires you to show up, to discipline yourself, to learn relentlessly, to embrace failure, and to walk